What is this tool I found in my grandpa's workshop? I can't figure out what it's called. Around 8.5 inches long, it's blunt on the end, and very heavy. It has, I guess, the word Dickinson stamped on one side of the blade. Any ideas on what this is? It's a rare C.D. Dickinson broom maker's hammer, also called a pounder, and they're worth about $100. It is used for smacking the broom corn flat against the handle. It has a flat face for driving broom nails, and a beveled side for creating grooves in the corn for wire and twine. This hammer was likely made in the late 1800s during the broom-making heyday. The Dickinson factory specialized in broom-making tools and equipment. It closed in the early 1900s, but many of the quality hand tools are still used by craft broom makers today. It's a rare piece of history. What are these spikes on the city gate, seen in Florence, Italy? The spikes are around 10 feet high on the wall. I tried Google Lens and searched for spikes on city gates, and nothing came up. I guess the spike was probably for hay or straw for the horses, since the rings for hitching the horses are right there. Any idea what this spike is made for? It's a torch holder with a missing basket. Look at this basket for torches. The large spike in the middle is what's mounting it to the wall. Perhaps the basket aspect has been lost, stolen, or broken. Looking closely at your picture reveals the remnants of these 4 petals where the basket broke off. These elements were especially common in Italian architecture from the Renaissance through the 19th century. What is this lens I found at an estate sale? Roughly 2 to 5 pounds, made of bronze and black in color. The estate sale that I got it from was a man who was 80 years old and a professional photographer. I have found a few really nice pieces and some lenses and old cameras that are really interesting. However, I can't find any information online about this, and unfortunately the owner is now deceased to ask. The estate company that handled the sale had no information on it either. I was hoping someone with more professional knowledge of photography could help me identify the lens. Thanks in advance. It's the Bausch & Lomb Auto Shutter, a camera shutter mechanism developed by the Bausch & Lomb Optical Company in the early 20th century, and was also used in conjunction with Kodak cameras. It was designed to provide photographers with a more precise and automated method for controlling exposure times, which was a significant advancement over earlier manual techniques like removing and replacing the lens cap. Today, these shutters are valued by collectors and photography enthusiasts for their historical importance and craftsmanship. What is this old tool I found in an old shed? It has different shapes and sizes of openings. I would guess it was used as a sort of wrench on some tractor-type machinery, but I am curious if anyone knows more specifics. Thanks. It's a 1940s fire hydrant wrench, but not for the big ones on street corners. It's for the smaller ones on the side of apartment and office buildings. The bottom part is a spanner that removes the cap and interfaces with the hose fittings. The other wrenches and sockets open the valve. There were a lot of different types. What is this brass object found on a ranch, about the size of a battery and hollow? It was found in an old shed that was falling apart on a ranch owned by my grandparents, who built the shed in the early 20th century, so it could be very old. It looks like one of those old trench lighters that use rope for a wick, but I can't see how a flint and wheel could be attached effectively, and no sign of a broken piece where it could have been. Any idea what it may be? This is part of the pump from a 1940s lever-operated Eagle oil can, used for applying lubricating oil to machinery or mechanical parts. The pump has a lever or trigger mechanism that, when pressed, activates this small internal pump. This allows the user to control the flow of oil precisely, dispensing it in small amounts as needed. These cans were widely used in the 20th century and are still appreciated by hobbyists, machinists, and vintage tool collectors. What is this large sterling silver ladle with a hole in the middle? Around 8 inches long, It belonged to my great-grandmother and dates to the 1930s. Any information about it would be much appreciated. It's a Victorian egg-lifting ladle for taking eggs out of hot boiling water. Here's another one on eBay listed for $99 and made in Amsterdam in 1877. It could also be a serving piece to be used at the table. Victorians had innumerable serving pieces with quite specific purposes. Table settings were the opportunity to display one's status and wealth. This may have been a server to lift pickled eggs out of brine. What is this wooden ramp with 3 scales found at a car boot sale in Sweden? I have no idea what it was used for. It has a hinge and a wooden screw at the low end, the angle of it can be altered, and the scales seem metric. Can you please help me identify what this thing is? It's a Holes-inclined plane apparatus, a physics lab instrument used to study Newton's laws of motion and the mechanical effects of friction with the inclined plane. Here's a similar device made in 1912. The cart is placed on the inclined plane and connected by a string over the pulley to a hanging mass. When the mass is released, it pulls the cart up or down the incline. Students can study how changing the angle or mass affects acceleration, or how friction alters motion. My husband brought this home from his job, and both of us are curious about it. We're not super duper knowledgeable on guns, so we have no clue what this gun is called, or why an older woman would have it in her home. My husband works for a large commercial junking company, and they're allowed to bring home anything getting tossed. The woman had recently passed away, and so her family was just trashing all her belongings sadly. Any help is appreciated, thanks. It's a Colt model 1885 Gatling gun on an original Watervliet Arsenal carriage. Connecticut was home to the Gatling Gun Company, a division of the Colt Firearms Manufacturing Company in Hartford, which between 1866 and 1911 produced thousands of these deadly machine guns, the first effective weapon of its kind. The Gatling used several rotating barrels that fired independently when the handle was rotated. When the barrels are rotated, each of them automatically loaded a cartridge, fired a shot, ejected an empty cartridge, and reloaded. Early Gatling guns could fire at a rate of 200 rounds per minute. Although not an automatic weapon, the Gatling, as the first successful machine gun, paved the way for fully automatic weapons in the late 19th and early 20th centuries. What is this mystery tool found in an old farmland in New Milford, Connecticut? It's made of metal, it says patented May 1895, and the center space is about the size of a nickel extended into an oval. I took it to an antique dealer who looked at the kind up close and noticed that they were not for slicing, as they had no edge on them. He also said it's too delicate for something as hard as a nut. Any ideas? Please tell us down in the comments. Thanks for watching. Let's make life fun.